Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. It is 2:01 p.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. In our boardroom is the Vice Chair, Commissioner Gary Edwards, and Commissioner Carolina Mejia, as well as the County Manager, Ramiro Chavez. And we have a whole range of staff present on our Zoom. The public can follow along through our live stream through our Zoom. And we're calling this meeting to order, beginning with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Edwards.
And I, in turn, am going to ask one of the citizens here with us, Jeff Harwood, is going to lead us in the pledge. So go ahead, Jeff.
I pledge allegiance
to the
Flag
of
of
the
the
United
States of America
and to the republic
for
which it stands,
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice
for all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. We would also like to start today with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge the Indigenous Salish peoples who have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial, and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing. With that, I would contemplate an approval or a motion regarding the proposed agenda for today's meeting.
Yes, I would move to approve the agenda for Tuesday, September 14th, 2021.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye, motion carries. Agenda is approved. Is there a motion regarding board meeting minutes from August 31st?
Yes, sir. I'd move to approve the board meeting minutes from August 31st, 2021.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. I will call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye, that motion carries and the board meeting minutes are approved unanimously. First up under presentations is a proclamation for Day of Service and Remembrance. And I will turn it to the county manager to introduce this.
And thank you, Commissioners. Good afternoon. September 11, 2001, the American people endured the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil in the nation's history with courage and heroism. Community organizations and family members of the victims of the attack began observing the anniversary of September 11 as a charitable service day to honor the memory of lives lost and those who were united in response to this tragedy. In April 21st, 2009, the Congress passed the Serve America Act and declared September 11 to be on the service days of National Day of Service. Today, for your consideration, is to declare September 11 National Day of Service and Remembrance. I believe Ball Hills Fire Chief Mark Gregory is with us this afternoon, and he will be in attendance. Perhaps like to say a few words on this. And at that time, the board will like to provide your perspective related to this proclamation. Thank you. Chief? Sorry, I don't think he has joined us yet. So I apologize for that. Let me see.
I see his square up there.
Chief Gregory, can you hear us? There's so many squares on the screen.
Good turnout.
Ways of zooming.
Maybe he's dealing with an emergency. Anyways, for your consideration is this proclamation, Commissioners.
Okay.
Chair, Chair, is that okay? You prepared? We'll go?
Yeah, go ahead and read the proclamation if you're ready.
Proclamation for National Day of Service and Remembrance. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, the American people endured the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil in the nation's history with courage and heroism. And whereas in response to this tragedy, Americans across the country joined in a remarkable spirit of patriotism and unity and carried out countless acts of kindness, generosity, and compassion. And whereas community organizations and family members of the victims of the attack began observing the anniversary of September 11th as a charitable service day to honor the memory of lives lost and those who were united in response to the tragedy, including first responders and volunteers. And whereas the Serve America Act, approved by Congress and enacted into law on April 21st, 2009, directed September 11th to be observed and recognized as an annual National Day of Service and Remembrance, and charged the Corporation for National and Community Service with leading this effort. And whereas National Day of Service and Remembrance activities are organized by a variety of nonprofits, faith-based and community groups, public agencies, educational institutions, private businesses, and other organizations across the nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims September 11th as a day of service and remembrance in Thurston County and urge residents to honor the lives of those lost through participation in a community service and remembrance ceremony. Adopted this 14th day of September 2021, your Board of County Commissioners. And did Mark get online there? Maybe I can make one comment. You know,
Yeah, please.
that incident happened back in 2001. You know, just so you know, government doesn't go too fast. It took them until 2009 to make that change in legislation. So the bureaucracy at work. How about it? Did Mark ever show up?
Chief Gregory, are you in the Zoom?
Well, how about we just recognize that we have mistakes once in a while with this Zoom thing and go back to the chair with the rest of the meeting. We catch him later, huh?
Yep.
Commissioner Mejia, did you have anything?
I mean, I was 10 years old when this happened, and, you know, as a 10-year-old, I have very vivid memories of when this occurred. So, you know, it's a day of mourning, and I'm glad that it's a National Day of Service and Remembrance. And I attended, along with the rest of the commissioners this weekend, some events in honor of that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. There were good community events all weekend. There was American Legion Post 94 had a special event on Friday that we were all at. City of Lacey sponsored a very nice event on Saturday. And it was a 28-year anniversary, which I hadn't realized, I hadn't counted that until I was at these events, that we were at that milestone. But of course, we all remember exactly where we were and what was going on. It's an important day to remember the service and sacrifice of our first responders. I saw Chief Gregory's square pop back up. He's there, Chief. Give you one more chance to. Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate the effort to be with us here. And if he comes back, we will accommodate any comments he'd like to make. Let's go then to our second item under presentations, which is an emergency services item related to introduction of Medic One employee. We have a new Medic One employee. Kurt Harden, our emergency services director, is here to present.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kurt Harden, Director of Emergency Services here in Thurston County. I want to introduce Jarrett Latimer, who is a Business Application Technician 2 within Medic One. I want to give a little bit of background for Jarrett. First of all, he grew up in Chehalis, down in Lewis County, just south of us, and graduated from Adna High School in 2015. He also went to Centralia College, so he's very local. But then he went over to Eastern Washington University and graduated cum laude from Eastern Washington University in 2020 with a bachelor's in computer science and a minor in business administration. He worked while he was at college for the Eastern Washington University Police Department. And then also, I don't want to say this too loud because I don't want our IT folks to snatch him, but he's worked in cybersecurity as a security analyst out of Spokane prior to being hired by Medic One. So he enjoys skiing at White Pass. He's riding quads at the dunes in Oregon, hunting, camping, fishing, video games with friends, detailing vehicles, playing basketball. And he really enjoys spending time with his family, his fiance, and their 2 dogs. We're really pleased to have him. He's a great addition to the Medic One team. And I will tell you that he's made an impact already. He's developed a couple of tracking mechanism and applications for us here in Medic One. So with that, I will introduce Jared Latimer to you.
Thank you, Kurt. I appreciate it. It's an honor to work for Medic One, and I'm glad that I can have an impact on the citizens of Thurston County, and especially assist our first responders here in the fire service. So, thank you.
Commissioners, anything for Jarrett?
Just welcome aboard. Keep us safe.
Thank you.
Welcome you to Thurston County from our friendly neighbor to the south, Lewis County. Good to have you aboard, Jarrett. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Kurt. Next up is a similar presentation with a whole bunch more folks involved from our Public Defense Department. We have Patrick O'Connor, Public Defense Director, to introduce new public defense employees.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. Commissioners, Patrick O'Connor, Director of Thurston County Public Defense, and we do have several new employees to introduce, and I'm thrilled to welcome each and every one of them to our team, or as we say around here, to our family. I do wish this was in person. I think I echo some of the comments made earlier. This is kind of a fun, special event for us to welcome new employees in person, but we're here via Zoom. So I will introduce each one of them and tell you a little bit about them, and maybe I'll pause with each introduction and let them say hello themselves individually. So first, I'd like to introduce Jose Villanueva. Jose is a defense attorney 3 with our office, so one of our senior attorneys here with us. Jose is a graduate of the University of Notre Dame Law School. He comes to us from Texas, where he managed a private law firm, principally doing public defense work. He has over 25 years of experience as a trial attorney and a public defender. Jose has been with us for a couple months now, and I just couldn't be prouder to welcome him to our team, and he's already doing outstanding work. So, Jose, if you'd like to say hi to the commissioners.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. It's sort of a homecoming for me. I started my career here back in 1992 when I clerked for the Supreme Court here in Washington, and then I was a prosecutor in Tacoma for about a year before I went back to Texas. So I'm glad to be back here.
All right, welcome, Jose.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Well, next I'd like to introduce Diana Anderson. Diana is a defense attorney 2 with our office. Diana is a graduate of the University of Florida Law School. Kurt, you can save your jabs at me later. Diana, Kurt is the University of Florida graduate as well. Diana interned with our office here in 2014. She comes to us from Whatcom County in Bellingham, where she served for a number of years as a public defense attorney with the county there. So Diana, if you'd like to say hi to the commissioners.
Hello. Like Jose said, this is kind of a homecoming for me as well. My first legal job was volunteering with Thurston County Public Defender's Office, and I'm really excited to be back after spending some time in Bellingham.
All right, welcome, Diane.
Okay, welcome back.
Thank you, Diana. So next I'd like to introduce our what we're referring to as our Blake team. So as a response to the Supreme Court's ruling in State v. Blake, we put together a response team, and I'm proud of the work that these 3 individuals are already doing. First, I'd like to introduce Peter Sabian. Peter's a defense attorney 3 with our office. He comes to us from New Mexico, where he was a public defender in the New Mexico State Public Defender System. He attended Roger Williams Law School in Rhode Island. He's been with us for about a week now, and he is impressed me already with his ability to get up to speed on Washington law. So, Peter, if you'd like to introduce yourself or say hi.
Thank you, Pat, and it's public defender too. I'm happy to be here. Lived all over the country, really. Finally came here. Can't say it's homecoming, but I've been meaning to move here for a while, years now. So in a way, it is homecoming, the Pacific Northwest. So thank you for having me.
Great, thank you, Peter.
Next, Commissioner, I'd like to introduce our second Blake attorney, and that's Peter Kale. Peter's a defense attorney one. Peter comes to us from a private practice with a law firm out of Seattle. And Pete, I've had to distinguish between Pete and Peter. So Pete graduated from the University of Washington School of Law. So Pete, if you'd like to say hi to the commissioners.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I came out from the East Coast to go to law school. So also not a homecoming for me, but I love it out here. Happy to be here and very excited to get people relief who are impacted by Blake. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. And next, I'd like to introduce Kathleen Moisick. Kathleen's a legal assistant one with our Blake team. Kathleen was a legal assistant intern with our office for about 6 months prior to COVID, and she's a recent paralegal graduate from right here at SBSCC. So she goes by Kat. So Kat, if you'd like to say hi to the commissioners.
Hello. Yeah, not much to say other than, you know, I'm here to help people out, and we've already impacted a lot of people. So it's good to do good with the community, and happy to be here.
Thank you, Kat. Next, I'd like to introduce Niles McDonald. Niles is a defense attorney one with our misdemeanor team. Niles also was Rule 9 with our office in 2019. Niles graduated from Tulane Law School and previously served as a public defender in Island County before joining us. So Niles, if you'd like to say hi to the commissioners.
Thanks, Patrick. I'm Niles McDonald. As Patrick said, I graduated from Tulane University. This is a bit of a homecoming for me. My undergraduate was from the Evergreen State College. I lived here from 2010 to 2014. Really loved Olympia, and I'm happy to be back, giving back a little by protecting folks in the area's civil rights.
Thanks, Niles. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Hannah Reynolds. Hannah is a legal assistant one in our reception area, and as I told Hannah, she's the face of our office. So it's a pleasure of mine to introduce Hannah. She's been with us a couple months now. Hannah's a recent paralegal graduate from SBSCC as well, and she interned over at the City of Olympia's Community Court before joining the department. So Hannah, if you'd like to say hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I've been fortunate enough to call Thurston County home for basically my entire life, so it's wonderful to be able to give back. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Hannah. Well, I hope I didn't monopolize too much of the commissioner's time today, but I'm really proud of each and every one of these new additions to our department. We're only going to be in better shape for each one of them and serving this community and meeting our mission. So thank you for your time. I know we took up a handful of it.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Appreciate you guys. Some of you may not know because you're kind of new, but before I was a commissioner, I was a lawyer, and the biggest chunk of my career, kind of the middle of it, was as a public defender for the state of Alaska, actually. And then I was a contract public defender for Thurston County. So I know your work. Your work is dear to my heart. And the team that Patrick has is, you know, to me, one of the most important pieces of county business. So appreciate all of you. Good luck.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pat. Okay, last but not least, under our presentation section of the agenda is Public Works. And we've got introduction of Public Works employees, and we have our county engineer, Scott Lindblom, here to do that.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Scott Lindblom, County Engineer with Public Works. We do have a number of Public Works professionals here to meet you today. In light of the large number, we have a dozen. We're going to be making our remarks fairly brief, and I'm sure over the course of the next few months, years, you'll be having a chance to see a lot of these folks coming to present before you. And if not, you'll definitely see their handiwork as you drive our roads and operate or enjoy our parks. So I will start it out with a couple of my new staff. Teresa Hoyer joined us just this month from the assessor's office as a right-of-way agent 3. She'll be supporting our capital projects, mostly road projects, to help our community, our community's roads become safer and more effective, and working very closely with their neighbors and She will definitely be also one of the faces of Public Works as she meets with all the neighbors that are impacted by all of our road projects. Next, Catherine Tran joined us as an associate civil engineer. Catherine's a St. Martin's graduate and had the opportunity to work with our department as she was going through school. She'll be working on our design of our capital projects. She's having the opportunity to work on the construction side this summer, but also working to support our design. And as part of a team that will, by the end of this year, have advanced about $17 million worth of investments into our road system. And these investments are really going to help our community go into the next 50 to 100 years or more. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity. Susan Schofield joined us as a flagger and laborer in our traffic operations team. This is some of the most critical work we do, is the work that she does directly affects the health and safety of our crews and that of the public, to make sure that our crews can go home to their families every night and the public has safe roads to drive on. She's worked for our traffic and road operations as a seasonal flagger or laborer before, helping with the striping of our roads and trimming vegetation along our roads. And finally, certainly last but not least, is Mark Ernline, our survey party chief. He came to us from the city of Chehalis with 20 years experience in construction, survey, and public works. And he will also be working with our teams to deliver capital projects through the design and construction, as well as supporting all the other road operations, water, sewer utilities, and programs we have in the fine Department of Public Works. And now, in the sake of time, I'll pass the baton on to Karen Weiss.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Karen Weiss, Financial and Asset Management Division Manager, and I am pleased to introduce Kathy Clark. She is a newest member of our administrative support team here at Public Works, and I think we all know that the real work gets done by the administrative team, and she is a great addition to our staff. She is primarily supporting the Solid Waste Division, though she helps out all across the department as needed. She has extensive experience in administrative and customer service support, last working most recently for the Tumwater School District. She's a longtime Tumwater resident, and we are thrilled to have her on board. And with that, I will pass it off to, I believe, Tim Wilson.
Thanks, Karen. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager with Public Works. And I have the privilege to introduce 4 new staff members today. I'll start with my Stormwater Operations and Maintenance team. Aaron Tormanen joined the Public Works team on June 1st as a Stormwater Infrastructure Mapping Specialist. Prior to coming to Public Works, Aaron worked in the Fish Passage Division at the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife. So Scott, keep your hands off. Next is Gabe Razzo, who returned to Public Works on August 17th after a short break from county service. Gabe has filled the role of residential stormwater inspector, and prior to that served as a water resources utility planner. We are very happy to have Gabe rejoin the Public Works team. Next, a couple of new employees with our Water Resources Technical Service team. Nate Ensley joined Public Works on August 2nd as a senior water resources engineer, supporting the water, sewer, and stormwater utilities. Prior to coming to Public Works, Nate was an engineer for a water and sewer provider in northern Colorado, where he managed new development and capital projects. And last but not least, we have Jill Plahuta, who joined the Public Works team yesterday also as a senior water resources engineer, and also supporting the water, sewer, and stormwater utilities. Previously, Jill worked for Gray and Osborne Engineers as a project manager. All of these fresh faces are great additions to the water resources team at Public Works and are already doing important work for our community. We're very excited to have them aboard. And now I'll turn it over to Mike Lohman with our Road Operations Division for some additional introductions.
Hello, Commissioners. I have the privilege of introducing 3 new employees. The first is Jason Wright. He's with our Parks and Trails program. Jason's the lead building and ground maintenance specialist. His primary duties include interacting with citizens and managing the maintenance of our parks and trails. Jason has a military and law enforcement background and a strong desire to serve his community. The next employee is Mary Beth King. She's with the Road Operations Division, a senior office assistant. In addition to administrative duties, Mary Beth is a primary contact for citizens requesting our services. She grew up in Chehalis and has recently moved to the Olympia area. And lastly is Ty Baker, also with road operations. Ty is a flagger laborer with our surfacing group. His current duties include providing a safe work zone for our crews. Ty grew up in Tumwater and is coming to us from Lewis County. That is all of our employees for Public Works, and I'd like to thank the board for affording us the time to introduce our new employees. Please join me in welcoming our newly hired employees to the Public Works team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Scott. Anything from the board?
Thank you, and welcome aboard. Yeah, quite a crew.
I hope they had a chance to hear Romero talk about the budget. You know, we always have budget problems. Be aware of that as you're out there working.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome aboard, and great to see all the new faces.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, now we're going to move to opportunity for the public to address the board. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public at our Tuesday afternoon meetings. There are some guidelines governing such comments to be sure they are appropriate. When called, please introduce yourself, including the address in which you, or address or area of the county in which you reside. Address the board, not audience or staff. Silence your cell phones. The board does not respond directly to public comment, but the county manager may follow up on an as-needed basis to specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes and may not donate any portion of that time to another speaker. The board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the board for a good cause. No comments that are lewd, offensive, inflammatory, defamatory, discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind from the boardroom participants. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business or remarks about pending land use permits that may come before the board in a quasi-judicial form. Finally, all materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 RCW. I will call the names in the boardroom, and then we will call anyone who's on Zoom that would like to participate. You'll be called out one by one. You don't need to sign up in any way and indicate whether you do or do not wish to provide testimony. I'll call the person who's up and then the person who's on deck so they can be ready once the person who's done testifying is complete. First is Doug Carman. On deck is Matt O'Connell.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Doug Carman. I reside at 4108 Cairo Road Southeast, in the urban growth area of Lacey. As you are aware from an email I sent to Mr. Cummings and copied you on, the Thurston County Department of Public Works has allowed the disposal of road waste tailings on fairground property, and this has upset many residents in the surrounding lakes. There are 2 parcels involved, and according to geodata, the northern parcel is within the jurisdiction of the city of Lacey. The tax records show the property as Use Code 91, or undeveloped. However, it has been used as a parking lot for short periods of time each year. To be a parking lot, the use code should be 46. Mr. Cummings' response to me was an attached email from Todd Mason, professional engineer, Public Works Development Review Manager. Following is his email. I have reviewed the forwarded emails of the potential environmental impacts. The top course of recycled asphalt pavement, RAP, R-A-P, was placed in accordance with industry standards and was considered a parking lot maintenance operation specifically, the RAP was placed on top course in an area where existing gravel surface existed. The RAP was completed, compacted, and rolled and not just placed on the surface. The compaction is an important step to bind the RAP material together. The existing drainage patterns were not altered or flows increased. The project was reviewed by Thurston County inspectors and stormwater staff. This was a successful project, not only in processing the old asphalt into reusable resource, but also being able to dump it close to the project. The citizens in my area find this response unacceptable. The material is repurposed, ground up asphalt It is not RAP, as claimed. Recycled asphalt pavement, or RAP, is a common paving material used in several applications all over the world. In lamest terms, RAP is old asphalt that has been removed and reprocessed for reuse. It is milled into a gravel and mixed with other high-quality, well-graded aggregates coated with asphalt cement. When compressed, it binds back together to form new pavement. The waste material disposed of on the fairgrounds was not mixed with other high-quality, well-graded aggregates and coated with asphalt. And it could not be compacted according to specifications without the proper gradation and ingredients. Being waste material, the toxic chemicals were ground into powder and will leach into the soil and run off into the aquifer, which feeds Hicks Lake, Hicks, Longs, and Pattison Lakes. The organics, PCBs, antifreeze, etc., will pollute our lakes and drinking water. As stated in Mr. Mason's reply, no change in stormwater handling was addressed. The stream team estimates that 75% of the pollution in our lakes, rivers, and marine environments is due to stormwater runoff. In addition, the tax records indicate that at least one parcel is in the Shoreline Master Program jurisdiction. This would add additional permitting requirements. Adding material to the parcel will change the elevation and cause a change in stormwater drainage. Therefore, a stormwater plan should have been prepared and approved. Rubber stamping as a maintenance project is not acceptable. This repurposed asphalt over time will significantly increase the percent of impervious surface. So therefore, it also, and I have more information in the letter which I will leave behind, but in conclusion, this project will impact the water quality of the 3 lakes as well as the aquifer from which many residents drink. The project was ill-conceived and poorly designed with inadequate oversight. We need to be better at reducing rather than adding to the pollution of our lakes, rivers, and marine environments. This project would need to be redesigned with proper, appropriate oversight with particular care given to handling of stormwater. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carman. Mr. O'Connell's next. Mr. Schoenbachler is on deck.
Good afternoon. Matt O'Connell, representing LeMay, Thurston County, 2910 Hogan Bay Road Northeast, Lacey, Washington. I'm the Division Vice President for LeMay, and I wanted to thank the commissioners for the opportunity to make comments today. My comments will be in reference or in regards to the recent RFP for solid waste management within Thurston County. And there's a couple things that I think are important to bring up to the commissioners and some thoughts that I have in regards to the process. First and foremost, the scoring on Section B method of approach and Section D sustainability were not completed or done fairly and equitably. Too much of a single-minded focus on movement of MSW, mixed solid waste via rail. This was despite numerous Republic Rail issues, Republic Services, the successful or respondent, that have significantly impacted WARC operations, which is the facilities that we operate for the county. We feel that there was not a clear understanding of LeMay's proposal and how it would transport the MSW, and further, the scoring was not conducive in other ways to efficiently move MSW. This is confirmed in comments on the scoring sheet that we were provided. The LeMay transportation proposal eliminates the need for additional or even future replacement of SSI compactors, which are considerably expensive to both purchase, maintain, and operate. There were no interviews. Only 2 clarification questions were sent out via county staff. None of those were about the transportation component of our proposal. So the question becomes, how could the scoring group accurately score the LeMay proposal in regards to transport without a clear understanding of how it works and its environmental impacts? Were the impacts of the tons per load properly accounted for in the scoring? And again, as I said in the beginning, no interviews or significant discussions with the only company that has operated and maintained the county facilities since the inception. How can the current responsive bidder be considered responsive when no organics facility has been identified? Republic Services proposed a facility that is not permitted, does not currently exist, and quite frankly, nor will it ever exist. Other options are long distances from the county facilities. How does that play into the county's sustainability goals? And then it brings into question, what other items did Republic promise tied to sustainability or other sections that they are not being truthful and or transparent about? And then finally, my final point is staff options. The RFP allowed for the county to solicit last, best, and final offers. That did not occur. How can staff be sure, and therefore you as the commissioners, that they secured the best deal for the constituents? And with that, I have my comments, copies of my comments that I can provide the commissioners, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. Mr. Schoenbeckler is next, and then I'll call for anybody else from the boardroom before we go to Zoom.
Hello, commissioners. Thank you for your time today. I'm Greg Schoenbeckler, and I've been a longtime resident of Thurston County, and I'm also the original founder and developer of Silver Springs Organics, Thurston County's premier and only composting facility, really the only composting facility, commercial composting facility that exists in Southwest Washington. So I just really want to kind of reinforce what Mr. O'Connell said about a non-permitted facility being proposed in the RFP as a very disingenuous maneuver. If we were to look at the proposing the same, it'd be like LeMay proposing that all trucks that they were going to use would be electric. That may happen at some point in time, but it's not available in real time today. LeMay obviously didn't propose that because there's no telling when that would be available. Proposing an organics facility, a commercial composting facility that is not permitted and does not exist is very similar to that proposition. It's very complex. I'm telling you firsthand, as the person who did it here in Thurston County in 2006, 2007. It's very difficult, very long. It takes a very long time, and there's several obstacles that one has to overcome. And as time has gone on, it becomes more difficult and takes longer time. And the couple things other than having an appropriate site, you have permitting and regulatory requirements that have to be met. And that's not only county specific, but it also falls under the state and federal guidelines for solid waste. And you also have the overarching regulatory requirements of the air authority. And so whether or not it's within our county, you always have these layers of regulation that are extremely difficult to overcome. No permit is guaranteed. There's no guaranteed timeline on a permit for something like this. It's very complex. The other portion that really is a big barrier for a compost facility to be developed is just the critical mass of material. And Thurston County has a lot of material. It has about 30,000 tons annually that need to be processed. If it's not processed in county, then it's going over the road and being trucked. Snohomish County is the nearest other facility to us. So that's a long ways to truck 30,000 tons of material annually. But the critical mass for a compost facility is much greater than 30,000 tons. Silver Springs Organics is permitted for 120,000 tons annually. You cannot afford the appropriate infrastructure to process only 30,000 tons. It takes much more than that. The volume that exists in this industry is limited. And so, Silver Springs Organics volume is made up of a multi-county volume. And that stuff is all tied up in long-term contracts, just like the Thurston County material was and will be. And 30,000 tons alone to build a facility doesn't support economically the infrastructure that's required to do it properly and responsibly for the environment, nor to obtain a permit for. So that's all I wanted to do, just let you know firsthand. I've done this. I've worked here in Thurston County on it and other areas as well. And every year that goes by, it takes longer and longer, and is more and more difficult and more expensive. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir. Those are the names that I had. Is there anyone else in the boardroom who did not sign up and would
Sure.
wish to provide testimony?
Would you like to testify? You? No? No. In the blue shirt? No, thank you. No?
Let's go to our Zoom then, Ramiro.
Okay. Trudy, would you like to testify this afternoon?
Sorry, I just muted myself after you unmuted me.
I have two Trudys with your same first name
Yeah.
and last name.
Yeah, one is not actually Trudy. I think it's Keisha Brooks, but
Okay.
somehow they've been named me.
Okay,
My name is Trudy Sukup, and I live in Olympia, and I've been the CEO at Homes First since 2011. As a nonprofit organization, Homes First has provided safe and healthy rental homes in Thurston County for over 31 years. All our homes are affordable for people living at or below 60% of area median income. In fact, over 80% of our tenants live at less than 30% area median income. We have a really unique approach to housing. We don't rely on building homes. Building a home can take 3 to 5 years to finance and bring it to occupancy when you're doing it with public funding. Instead, we purchase and rehab pre-existing properties, and then we rent them out to the people in our community who have the biggest challenges to finding and retaining a home. These homes are scattered throughout Thurston and Mason counties, and we've seen the value of scattered site housing. In 2020, we housed over 275 people of all races, ages, genders, and abilities. And we got to experience with them what it's like to be part of a community rather than apart from it. So although we aren't a direct service provider, we do partner with lots of different service providers, and we have a tenant services navigator that helps our tenants find services when they need them. We work with organizations in our community like the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization, Community Youth Services, Family Support Center, COCUA, Oxford House International, and many more partners. Because we do a lot of shared housing. We purchase and manage homes. And then our partners get to have their clients in a home that they can afford where they get services. So I'm sharing all of this with you to help illustrate that there's not only one way to provide an affordable home in our community. However, the common denominator is that it is required to get more people into housing. We need funds. We need money. Housing, unfortunately, is not cheap, and it's not free. Buying, like building, takes real cash investments from our community in order to give people a place they can afford to live. So I'm here today to speak in favor of Thurston County following the lead of the City of Olympia and implementing a 0.1% tax increase dedicated to housing and mental health. This would provide an ongoing source of revenue targeted at addressing our housing crisis, adding more than $4 million annually, in addition to the $2.3 million Olympia generates through its tax. Tomorrow, my organization is submitting an application for funding to the Housing Trust Fund. To make our application more viable, the trust fund needs to see local dollars committed to our proposed projects. We want to do 2 accessory dwelling units on already existing properties that we own, and we want to purchase 5 more homes over the next 18 months. The flexible funding that could be provided through this targeted revenue stream would help with applications just like this in the future and help organizations like Homes First find creative ways to house more people more quickly and with a lighter eco footprint. Thank you for considering this important ordinance. Unless we focus on finding and increasing housing units that are affordable for the lowest of income people in our community, our current housing crisis will not improve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Trudy. Sorry, I didn't catch the name of the second Trudy. Would like to provide testimony.
Second Trudy.
Can you unmute yourself? You have 4 minutes, please. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. How are you doing? My name is Keisha Brooks. I'm a resident of the city of Tumwater, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Home First. I moved here in September of 2019, and I was suffering a lot of difficulties of finding affordable housing. I end up from hotel to hotel, place to place, and in cars, me and my 2 children. Thank goodness that I was able to access Homes First, who helped me find affordable homes. Well, now I live in Tumwater, and it's a great community, and I have a lovely 3-bedroom home. I even have access to the lake, and I've been living there, and we are so happy. But without the organization of Homes First, I don't know where me and my children would have been. So I would like for you to still continue to help. There is people that need affordable housing. So I would like for you to know that it's just like more people, like just like me and my family, who needs the support of you that to help with this small tax increase so they can have affordable living as well. And they can live and get help from other organizations like Homes First or other organizations. And they will be helping people to live their best life with a great affordable way to go. So please vote for a better way for Thurston County people to enjoy for everyone. Please do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Brewster, would like to provide testimony. Paul?
No, I'm just listening to portions of the commissioner's agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul. I have Chief Gregory still online. Chief, would you like to provide some words today?
No, thank you. I was just listening.
Okay, thank you. And I think that just covers, unless I'm missing something, somebody in the Zoom.
I think you've got it covered. Everybody else I recognize.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Ramiro. Then let's go to the county manager's update.
Thank you. I just have one public service announcement, just for the benefit of the public. On Thursday, September 16, 1 in the afternoon, we'll be conducting a fire drill across the county, and it will be a disruption of about 15 to 20 minutes while we practice the evacuation. Some citizens will be participating, since just the sheer nature they will be in attendance to the building, so they will be part of that drill as well. I just want to state that it will be some disruptions again this coming Thursday, September 16 at 1 in the afternoon for just about 20 minutes. The second item, I'd like to follow up on the public testimony that we received 2 weeks ago from Miss Esther Cronenberg, and she is the co-chair of the Citizens for a Clean Black Lake. She followed up with an email where she submitted 250 signatures from members of the public and outlining RCW 8538.220. So RCW 8538.220 refers to suspension of operations as a procedure related to a special use district. And I will read portions of this RCW to provide the context of my response. Any special district has its operation suspended as provided by this section. The process of suspending a special district's operations may be initiated by, number one, the adoption of a resolution proposing such action by the governing body of the special use district. Second, the filing of a petition proposing such action with the county legislative authority of the county in which all or the largest portion of the special use district is located, which petition is signed by voters of the special district who own at least 10% of the acreage in the special district, or signed by 10 or more voters of the special district. And third is adoption of a resolution proposing such action by the county legislative authority of the county in which all of the largest portions of the special district is located. Ms. Cronenberg submitted signatures which qualifies under Section 2 of this RCW. That is that at least 10 or more voters of the special use district have submitted this petition related to the Black Lake Special Use District. So the next step in the process is for the Board of County Commissioners to hold a public hearing to further explore this petition. By you holding a public hearing, you're not committing to the next action. That will be to seize the operations of the Black Lake Special Use District. I believe this is a procedural steps the legislative authority needs to take in accordance to RCW 85.38220, where you have received more than 10 signatures from the voters located within the Black Lake Special Use District. So as a result, I will be scheduling a public hearing related to this matter at an upcoming Board of County Commissioners meetings where the board will receive public testimony related to this particular petition. Any questions?
Commissioner Mejia?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards?
No questions at that time, sir.
I have a question about the, I don't know if I'm just thinking about the public hearing and, obviously the people who are anyone in the public could have an opinion and that would be, valid, but the folks who voted on the formation of the district and pay the assessments and vote on the commissioners for the special district obviously are more involved. And I'm just wondering if there's any special way to get notice to them about this hearing so that we get the most input from the most impacted people.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. When we go through the process in having an item for you to consider in the public hearing, we'll develop a communication strategy to inform the Black Lake Special Use District leadership as well as the members that you will be holding a public hearing related to this matter. So as a matter of next steps after the public hearing, and again, by you holding the public hearing, you're not committing to any specific action. And because you need to consider a lot of elements related to this, if in fact that's how the board would like to continue. I'd like to stress the fact this is a procedural steps that we need to meet based on this RCW by receiving the petition of 10 or more voters within the district for you to hold the public hearing. At this point, that is the end of the road, at least from my perspective.
It sounds like, yeah, the point being, and I think that's what you're suggesting, Ramiro, but the point is that many times when we hold a public hearing, it's based on the board's intent to take an action, whereas this is sort of reactive based on the petition. The communication strategy that's employed needs to be clear that the board is not necessarily proposing action X or Y. A citizen petition has proposed that, and then we're legally obligated to get input on that. It's a little bit different.
So let me just read another portion of the RCW, if I may. That probably brings the context of what you just stated, Commissioner. And it says, no special district that owns drainage or flood control improvements may be suspended unless the legislative authority that will be of a county accepts responsibility for operations and maintenance of the improvements during the suspension period. So, and that is probably, I'd like to bring that to the context of the conversation as well. So, next steps will be, you will see in an item for you to consider setting a public hearing. At this point, I don't know when that is going to occur, and the statute doesn't specifically state the sense of urgency as to we need to hold a public hearing, but certainly we will accommodate this public hearing as soon as feasible.
Any other items for your update, County Manager?
No, that's all I have for you today.
Okay, anything else from the board?
No, sir.
Okay. Then we move on to our consent agenda. We have 4 items, A through D. Is there a motion regarding the proposed consent agenda? Or alternatively, a request to pull anything off?
No, I'm prepared to make a motion, sir.
Okay, very good.
I would move to approve consent items A through D.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye. Motion carries. Items 3A through 3D are approved. Brings us to department items. 4A is an assessor item, single source service agreement with Just Appraised. And Daniel Janiga,
close.
Janiga, sorry.
That's okay.
Daniel Janiga, assessor division manager, to present this item. Go ahead, Daniel.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Dan Janiga. As you mentioned, I'm the property administration manager here in the assessor's office. Our office is requesting your approval of a single source service agreement with Just Appraised. Just a quick basics of what that does and what we do now and what that'll do for us in the future. So right now, every day, our staff reviews every property transaction that happens in Thurston County. So we review real estate excise tax affidavits and the deeds that accompany them. And we review the documents and enter the data into our system. The Just Appraised software employs algorithms and machine learning to read those documents and enter that data for us. It would improve our accuracy and speed in order to update our property records. The reason that we're looking for this is because there's been additional legislative changes to the Senior Citizen and Persons with Disabilities Exemption Program that's going to create a substantial increase in our workload. And so we've tried to figure out ways to take on that workload. And this was a lower cost solution than additional employees, and it allows our employees to use their expertise to help taxpayers get property tax relief and answer their questions instead of spending a lot of their day doing data entry. So this software does all that for us. It's a subscription-based software, and we appreciate your consideration of our request.
Questions for Dan from the board?
No, this is going to save the taxpayers money in the long run, right, Dan?
That's correct.
Okay.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to approve single source subscription service with Just Appraised for $4,800 for implementation and $45,000 annually for property information services.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion?
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye. The motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Daniel. We'll go to 5A. This is a change order number 6 for Tilly Sand and Material Storage Project. Robin Campbell is listed as Assistant County Manager. Is Robin presenting this?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you, Commissioner. I am here this afternoon to request approval for an increase to the contract for the Tilly Sand and Materials Storage Project. This project is constructing a storage area for the sand and other materials that Public Works needs. And the cost of the change is just a little under $32,000. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this project or the change.
Is this for Robin?
Yes, I do, but Commissioner Mejia might. No. What was the total cost of that project, Robin?
Believe the total cost of the project is $1.2 million, which is still less than the engineer's estimate.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Mejia, anything?
No.
Okay. I don't have any questions either. This is we usually have a 10% contingency built in, and I think this was an 11%. So we needed to come back to the board. So
That's
this is
correct.
something that we approved in the past. So is there a motion from regarding this item?
Yes, being I had that removed from the consent item, I'll look to my seatmate.
Move to approve change order number 6 in the amount of $31,779.94, which includes Washington State sales tax for the Tilly Sand and Materials Storage Project number 25567, and authorize the Assistant County Manager to execute the change order.
I'll second that motion. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Commissioner Edwards.
I guess I want to remain consistent. I did not feel that was the proper expenditure at the time, which has now been over a year ago, I believe. And so that's how come we had the discussion. Thank you.
Commissioner Mejia, anything?
I am new to this issue.
All right. With no further discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries 2-1. Thank you. Let's go to 5B, which is a proposal to set a public hearing regarding a countywide home fund.
Commissioners. During the 2019 legislative session, House Bill 1590 was passed into law. House Bill 1590 provided county legislative authorities with the option to impose by a councilmatic action an additional 0.1% of sales and use tax for housing and related services, also known as the home fund. Revenues collected must be used for constructing affordable housing and facilities providing housing-related services, constructing mental and behavioral health-related facilities, or funding the operations and maintenance costs of newly constructed affordable housing, facilities providing housing-related services, or evaluation of treatment centers. The Board of County Commissioners held a planning session on August 13, 2021, where we directed staff to bring an item for you to consider setting a public hearing, where you would like to get some public testimony related to the intent of you having this idea. As the previous comment made by Commissioner Menzer on the public hearing related to the Black Lake, this is also does not have an action for you to consider after the public hearing. There is a couple of options the board could have following the public hearing. So the gist of this public hearing is for you to receive public testimony from the public related to this potential action. There's a couple of steps the board needs to discuss after the public hearing, because whether this is an option the board would like to continue and what path the board would like to take, whether it's a councilmatic action or perhaps you would like to take this to the voters for approval. So that is the intent of this public hearing, which is for your consideration. It's set for October 19, 2021 at 3 in the afternoon, or soon thereafter this matter may be heard. In association to this particular action they may be considering today, you have asked me to draft a letter to send to all the cities in the county except for the city of Olympia, because this consideration by the board is a county-wide home fund. They will exclude the city of Olympia, since the city of Olympia already has a home fund. And you would like to receive some feedback from the rest of the cities as to this proposed county-wide home fund proposal. With that in mind, any questions?
Questions for the county manager?
I do have a couple of questions, sir.
Go ahead.
I've had new information as of our morning meeting. Have the other jurisdictions in Thurston County chosen to do this home fund issue at this time, other than Olympia?
Other than Olympia, no other jurisdiction has exercised this option that I know of.
And if we got ahead of, I don't know, Lacey or Tumwater or Yelm or whomever, and implemented something like this, then we would collect that in their jurisdiction and they would not have any say about it. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that's the reason why I believe the board requested me to sign, for me to draft the letter to request perspective from the cities affected by this potential option.
Okay, so, and I guess that was the concern brought to my attention, that possibly this wasn't going to be fair to those jurisdictions and this may be premature. But I guess I'll discuss that in further discussions, Chair. I don't want to get ahead of myself here.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, any other questions from the board?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion regarding this proposed public hearing?
As I've had new information, I'll defer to my colleague about that, just to see. I don't know where she's at. Just for the public, so they know, we never talk about this stuff before we end up here in this situation, and that's why things often change. So, never had a discussion with Commissioner Mejia about this, so I don't know if we're going to get a motion or not.
So I see this as kind of getting perspective from the public on where we are, and you know, we're getting questions on whether we have that option, and I want to hear, just like I wanted to hear from all the jurisdictions, I mean all the cities, and including South County cities, everyone who it would affect, you know, that's why I wanted to hear their feedback on it, whether they support it or not, and you know, setting a public hearing with kind of like just that intention to hear from the public. You know, I'll go ahead and I'll make a motion. Are you ready, Commissioner Menser?
Yes, ma'am.
I would move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, October 19th, 2021 for 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse Building 1, Room 280, to receive public comments regarding a proposed 0.1% sales tax increase for all Thurston County residents, except for the City of Olympia residents, as allowed under House Bill 1590 to support affordable housing activities.
I'll second that motion. So the motion has been made and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Commissioner Edwards.
I guess I also want to hear from all the folks that are going to be affected by this one way or the other, and how they might, what interest they might have in doing this, whether councilmatic or a vote of the people. And I'm generally opposed to councilmatic activity, but generally in favor of allowing citizens to make a decision. The problem is this letter that we're going to send out is kind of going out after the fact that we've made the determination to set the public hearing. And I would prefer if we had sent that letter out ahead of time and got notice back from those jurisdictions prior to setting the public hearing. So that therein is my concern at this point in time.
Okay, any other discussion?
I mean, wouldn't that be public, just to address Commissioner Edwards, I'm just like, wouldn't that be considered public comment, the letters from the jurisdictions too?
Well, they could do that, but if in the shape that their position is at that point in time, immediately after a public hearing, legislative action can be taken. And that's my concern, without getting what information we can before that happens. That's all. I mean, I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying it can happen.
So just to clarify, Commissioner, I will not be bringing any legislative action during the public hearing. The only action that I will ask is for you to close the public hearing. There will be no legislative action for you to consider at that time. I just want to make sure that that is the case. There is no.
Okay, I mean, and I respect that position, sir, but the reality is, it's been brought to my attention that it could happen with the snap of the fingers after the public hearing, the legal requirements. Now, I've made motions after public hearings to immediately enact whatever the public hearing was about. So I'm not saying I would do that, but I could. And I don't know, I guess legislatively it becomes okay. So I just think we're just a little bit premature on this. That's my concern here, to make sure that those elected people in those jurisdictions have adequate opportunity. And I understand where you're coming from. Thank you.
Just to follow up on that comment, any legislative action to implement this taxation requires an ordinance. And I am not planning to draft an ordinance for that,
Okay.
Commissioner.
Okay, no, and I do respect your position, sir. I'm a little nervous, that's all. That's where I'm at on the whole thing. So I would like to hear from those municipalities that have weighed in with me that they have concerns. So I don't think we're in a rush. If we don't get this passed until 2022, because we would not get it on a ballot in any upcoming election because it's too late. So I don't see the big rush. If we're not headed towards Council-matic, what's the hurry? So that's where I'm at, sorry.
Any other discussion from the board? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
No.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries 2-1. We'll have a public hearing on October 19th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard after the board meeting that day. Next item is 6A Central Services Mottman Complex Feasibility Study.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jason Ash, Facilities Manager. This afternoon, Central Services is requesting to move forward with awarding an amendment to the on-call contract to Thomas Architecture. This will give us a rough cost estimate for future remodel of the Mottman complex. You guys have any questions for me?
Commissioner Mejia?
I don't have any questions, Chair, but I am concerned that the cost of doing business continues to go up, and I'm afraid we're talking about millions of dollars here, so I want to be consistent on this. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions for Jason?
And just to clarify, this is for the Mottman building that we bought for the auditor.
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Is there a motion regarding the proposed study?
I would defer to my seatmate, please.
I would move to approve Amendment 11 to contract number 025-2018-660-1040-011 with Thomas Architecture Studios in the amount of $64,312 plus tax, and authorize the Assistant County Manager to execute the amendment and any future amendments that do not exceed 10%.
I'll second that motion. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion from the board? Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Commissioner Mejia?
No, sir.
I don't think I have anything either. I am concerned about the costs Commissioner Edwards alluded to. What I understood from this morning's presentation is that this study will give us sort of the range of options. At that point, the board can exercise its discretion. As I think the Assistant County Manager said, there may be wants and there may be needs, and the board may have limitations, or just not even limitations, but just priorities that need to be handled. So I don't think we can sort of make the right decisions about the new property acquisition without the information that this study will produce. That's my kind of sense of where we're at. So With that, I guess with no further discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Nay.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye. Motion carries 2-1, and this item is approved, 6A. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Next item is Emergency Services 7A, interlocal agreement with Thurston Regional Planning Council. Kurt Harden, Emergency Services Director, is here to present the item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kurt Harden, Director of Emergency Services, here to request that the Board of County Commissioners approve an interlocal agreement between Thurston County Emergency Management and Thurston Regional Planning Council for the term May 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2024 in the amount of $166,611.08 for services related to the Regional Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan, and authorize the Emergency Services Director to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%. The purpose of this agreement is to provide funds to the Thurston Regional Planning Council for the Regional Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan update, which is a FEMA required plan, and it's also updated every 5 years. This plan is a requirement to be eligible for grants or aid through FEMA's Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program and the Public Assistance Program. Thurston County received a federal pre-disaster mitigation grant earlier this year, which was approved by the board on July 20th, 2021. And that earlier federal grant was to update the Thurston Region Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. Under the interlocal agreement, TRPC will coordinate, facilitate research, compile data, write, and manage the update of the plan for the Thurston region. The agreement is a multi-year agreement, and again, starts May 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2024. This agreement date does coincide with the performance period of the federal grant. And once again, all of this funding for TRPC comes out of the federal grant. Subject to your questions, this concludes the presentation for this item.
Questions for Kurt? Commissioner Mejia?
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir. He answered everything.
Okay. I don't have anything either. We've gone over this a couple of times. Is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to approve an interlocal agreement between Thurston County Emergency Management and Thurston Regional Planning Council for the term of May 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2024 for the amount of $166,611.08 for services related to the Regional Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan, and authorize the Director of Emergency Services to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Next item is 8A, Public Health and Social Services Contract with Community Action Council of Lewis, Mason, and Thurston Counties for rent and utility assistance. Tom Webster, Social Services Program Specialist, is here to present.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tom Webster, Program Manager for Thurston County's Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention. Here to ask for your consideration of a contract with Community Action Council of Lewis, Mason, and Thurston County to continue to implement rent and utility assistance for a contract value of $6,905,000. You may recall in January earlier this year, the county received a direct allocation from the Department of Treasury of just over $8.7 million to implement a rent and utility assistance program. We contracted with Community Action Council to implement that program. They are nearly spent out of that $8.7 million, and we've received a second allocation directly from the Department of Treasury for just over $6.9 million. And so we're looking to provide this money to Community Action Council to continue the program since they are nearly out of their funding that was provided in February. This is, I want to kind of clarify, because this is money we received directly from Treasury. We've also received separate rent and utility assistance under the same program through the State Department of Commerce. That is a separate contract. Those funds are also nearly spent out and will be coming to you for additional funding under that program. But this relates specifically to the funds that the county's received from the Department of Treasury. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this.
Questions for Tom? Commissioner Mejia?
Tom, Tom, it seems like we've went over this a couple times up until now. It seemed like there was something about utility assistance in here as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. This allows for both rent assistance as well as utility assistance. So, and that utility assistance can include water, electric, heat, and internet service as well.
And mostly we give this either to this funding goes directly to the utility or to the landlord in most cases. Is that right?
That is correct. The program is designed so payment is made directly to the landlord or to the utility company. In limited and very rare circumstances, when the landlord is unwilling to accept payment, then payment can go directly to the tenant for payment of rent, but that is not a common occurrence.
And we can't siphon any of this off to do other stuff with, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, I just want the public to know that we're kind of locked in there and it's pass-through money. Thank you very much,
Yes, it is very
sir.
specific in terms of the eligible uses for these funds. They're limited.
Thank you, Tom. Good job.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve a contract with Community Action Council of Lewis, Mason, and Thurston counties to continue to implement rent and utility assistance programs in Thurston County funded by the U.S. Department of Treasury Emergency Rent Assistance Program for $6,905,000 and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final business item is 9A Public Works Contract Award for the Burfoot Park Restroom Replacement Project. Brian Meyer here from Public Works.
Hi, good day. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Brian Meyer, Senior Civil Engineer with Thurston County Public Works. On August 12th, a total of 8 bids were received to construct the Burfoot Park Restroom Replacement Project. These bids were received in response to a advertisement for this project. The low responsive bidder was received from Construct Inc. of Tumwater with a bid of $751,693.96. This project is fully funded with a combination of parks impact fees and real estate excise tax 2 funds. The existing restroom was installed over 30 years ago and will be replaced with 2 pre-manufactured restrooms. The existing restroom is not ADA compliant and experiences flooding seasonally from stormwater runoff. The new restroom will be ADA compliant and will double the restroom capacity of the park as well as reduce maintenance costs. Public Works is requesting the Board of County Commissioners to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract for the Burfoot Park Restroom Replacement Project to Construct Inc. and any change orders for this project due to unforeseen conditions, only up to 10% of the original contract. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now.
Questions for Brian?
No, sir.
No, sir. He's done a good job.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I would move to award the contract for the Burfoot Park Restroom Replacement Project, CP 51077, to Construct Incorporated of Tumwater, Washington, in the amount of $751,693.96, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract and any change orders due to unforeseen conditions only, not for changes in scope that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I was going to joke that maybe it should be 11%, but but we'll go with 10%. Okay, moved and seconded. No further discussion. Call for the vote on this.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye, the motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, Burfoot Park. All right, that takes us to item 10A, which is Commissioner reports on board work sessions. We're right on schedule. Board of Health following this meeting, but we've got time for Commissioner reports. So I'll start with Commissioner Mejia.
Jessica meeting was yesterday. I don't have much to report on that. And I couldn't attend the ORCA meeting, but Joshua Cummings attended on behalf of me because that was the day where we were discussing the budget. Other than that, the RHC funding work group, Interfaith, came with an emergency request. And so we're probably going to be seeing some of that. Right now, their construction got delayed, so the people that they were planning to house there, they're currently with, I believe, one of the faith-based churches here, and they are starting to reopen to their congregants, so they need the space back, and so they were asking for assistance with that. I believe Tom is suggesting some of the 1277 funding that we're going to get, but that's the new funding. We just found out that that might be able to assist them in their issues. So we're probably going to be hearing more on that. I believe it's going to be discussed at the RHC meeting. And then we also discussed the RFP process for 1277, what that's going to look like. So that's from the Regional Housing Funding Work Group, just in case anyone didn't hear it. Then I have also met with the sheriff to discuss, I met with him yesterday to discuss just his future budget and what that's going to look like, just so I can start. I've been meeting with different offices and departments to discuss their budget, and just so I can have an idea of what that's going to look like for the next 2 years. I attended the First Responder Barbecue in Tenino on Saturday. I also attended the Lacey 911 Memorial event and the American Legion Post 94 barbecue the night before. I also did a site visit in Boston Harbor on Friday with Public Works. I want to give a great shout out to Public Works staff. Tim Wilson and his staff went out there and assisted some residents with some concerns they had in regards to some stormwater ditches and how the way the project was managed, and Public Works staff were able to answer all of their questions and kind of reassess. So I just want to give a huge shout out to them. Other than that, that's all I have to report.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes, sir. Attended some of those same listed issues that Commissioner Mejia referred to. I think I'll stick with constituent issues, though, as I have nothing of substance to report on committee meetings. And the biggest thing going on right now is the COVID vaccine mandate. And my phone's been ringing pretty steady. I do have listed phone number, so I always like to point that out to the public. But and I've had questions and concerns brought to my attention by employees that are going to be affected by that mandate. And those are available under the public records request, or call my office, I guess, if you want to see which kind of questions and concerns are coming in. But that's going to be, I see storms on the horizon on this whole thing. So probably more to come, and I'll just let it go at that.
Okay, we've had a couple of weeks since the last meeting. Just a whole bunch of stuff that I attended, just community events of various types, Rochester Chamber, watching our Public Works Director get a pie in the face for the Little Red Schoolhouse fundraiser that we do, a farewell reception for our Superior Court Administrator, Pamela Hartman-Beyer, who moved on to federal court, attended the Chehalis Basin Board meeting, at least most of it last week, the Thurston Climate Action Team annual picnic, a first responders event at the American Legion Post 94, the Lacey 9/11 20th anniversary event on Saturday, an unveiling for the Olympia Rotary 100-year anniversary and their dedication of artwork downtown on the Port Plaza, innovative justice meeting this morning. So lots and stuff going on. Something prospective is that I will be hosting a panel discussion hosted by Thurston County on the climate mitigation plan and the climate action, regional climate action activities. Lisa Parsley of the Olympia City Council will be there because she's the chair of the Climate Action Steering Committee. Allison Osterberg, who is kind of our steering person from TRPC, kind of our administrative support for that, and also key members of county staff. I believe Shelley Slaughter and potentially Public Works, but a couple of key county staffers will be involved in the discussion as well. So that should be great. And that's in the evening on the 20th of September. So with that, we'll go to the county manager and review of our combined schedule.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me walk you through your combined schedule for this upcoming week, where at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report. As soon as we're done with this meeting, you will convene the Board of Health regular meeting. Tomorrow, September 15, Wednesday, you have been invited at 8 in the morning to participate in the Homes First Heroes for Housing fundraiser that is located in the Indian Summer Golf and Country Club, 5900 Troon Lane, Southeast Olympia, Washington. At 10 in the morning tomorrow, September 15, Commissioner Edwards and Commissioner Minzer will be attending your regular Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization Board meeting. Thursday, September 16, for those commissioners who will be in the building, they will be participating on the fire drill at 1 in the afternoon. Friday, September 17th, you have been invited to participate in the standing meeting with STEADY. That will be the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative, and that is a virtual meeting. Nothing on Saturday, nothing on Sunday. Monday, September 20th, you have your standing meeting of the Washington State Association of Counties Virtual Assembly at noon. And on Tuesday, September 21st, you will convene back here at 9 in the morning to conduct your regular agenda setting meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramiro. Anything else for the good of the order before we adjourn today?
Yeah, I was disappointed I didn't see you at the Rotary in Lacey with your band. There were some bands there, but I don't know if they were that good compared to it I've heard.
Yeah, I missed that Rotary piece. There was bluegrass in Shelton, and bluegrass always takes precedence for me. So
okay.
So we are going to adjourn, and then we're going to reconvene on a separate Zoom for the Board of Health meeting. And let's make that at 3:40. Give ourselves 6 minutes here to get sorted out, and we'll convene Board of Health at 3:40.